Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we're doing a repot, hence the frame. Well, the frame is because honestly, I have a very tight schedule today and putting on makeup takes a little bit of time and I don't have time for that. Anyway, we're gonna go a little bit retro here, but you don't need to see my face because, as I was saying, what we're gonna do today is a bit of a repot. Oh my goodness, look at that. Now, what if I told you this is one of the seedlings that I purchased last year? You will say, no, this is a mature orchid. Well, kinda, it's almost mature. But if you remember last year's video, which I will link you to down below in the description, if you don't remember it or if you missed it, in that video, we saw a whole variety of seedlings from very, very small and not the size necessarily, but the age, to more of a younger plant rather than a seedling. And I was telling you that some of these, and whenever you will buy seedlings, some will be less of a seedling than others. And this is one of those cases. This is the Cattleya Hawaiian Wedding crossed with Pink Empress. Now, this one I will be very, very curious to see when it blooms because Hawaiian Wedding is one that actually does look like the one we called Princess Jackie. So if it has any similarity in fragrance, we will know that Princess Jackie is a very high candidate for Hawaiian Wedding. I never found Hawaiian Wedding, although I wanted to buy it, and this is the closest I've gotten. And we potted this one actually last year, or actually no, a year and a half ago in 2023. Oh my gosh. Time is a little bit relative to me. I don't know. Do you guys have the same thing? At some point, time has no meaning. Last year, 2 years ago, who knows? So it's about a year and a half. Yeah, I didn't buy any orchids, or actually I didn't haul any orchids last year because I needed to save money. Oh my gosh. I went 1 year without hauling orchids. I gotta make a haul this year. So it's been in here for a year and a half and it has to come out. It has to. Now, I'm a little late with the repotting in the sense that the roots are a little bit larger than I would like them to be, but hey, better late than never, right? So today, we will obviously go for a bigger pot, but the question is, are we going to repot or are we going to op-pot? Now, if you don't know the difference between these two, well, I don't know if it's very self-explanatory, but by op-potting, usually I mean not removing the old medium and just taking this out of the pot and put it in a bigger pot and fill in with some potting medium. I hope the little crow doesn't bother you. It's not like I can go and scare it off. I might be able to, but I don't want to. I want the crows to come here. I'm gonna try to feed them. I'm gonna try to get some nuts and see if I can befriend them. Anyway, so op-potting means not removing the medium around the roots. Or she's angry. While repotting means the typical, removing the old medium, putting it into new pot and new medium. So this medium is not very old. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do because usually with repotting, and by the way, these are dead roots that I'm cutting here. I don't have my pruners, my rePotme pruners that I always have here because I did some gardening the other day and I used them. So we're gonna use this scissors because I'm a little lazy. So yeah, these are dead roots, don't worry. I'm just cutting them so it's easier to remove. The problem with up-potting, or repotting, sorry, is that I can actually disturb the roots, and these roots are already a little large. But if it's necessary, if the medium is breaking down, I have to remove it. However, I know that the materials that I'm using here are pretty good, especially the moss. So we're gonna see. I don't want to set it back, but then again, this is a very vigorous orchid, so we'll see. I'm just pressing on the medium here. There's a lot of roots, especially in this portion. So let's see. How will we look inside this pot right now? This pot has a little bit of a texture, so the roots don't really like snap off like they would from normal plastic. Normal, this is normal too, from the transparent plastic. And I can already smell some, yeah, broken roots. So this pot is going away. No, I'm gonna use it for something else, not orchids, because yeah, it has a texture and roots attached to it, and I broke a few roots. It's okay, it's nothing major. Right, so, okay, we have a few dead roots. I can actually go ahead and remove these dead roots, and I could actually go ahead and remove the sphagnum moss as well. See why I said I might pot it? Because the sphagnum moss usually for me lasts at least 4 years, because I do have a very warm climate. Things don't tend to stay very wet here. I watered this like 4 days ago and it's dry already. But it's not a huge deal, I see, to remove it. I'm not gonna go ahead and remove all of it because, you know, there's no point, but I will go ahead and remove all of the dead roots that I see. It's so weird to cut them with the scissors. But yeah, they're not very thick roots, so I can go ahead and cut them. This is the original tag. Why did I make a new one? I don't know. Probably because I thought I lost the tag. But it wasn't lost, it was just eaten away by the roots. Right, so this is still a good root. I'm gonna go ahead and press a little bit on these roots. This one is not so good. It might still be, no, it's not. It's done. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the dead roots or the questionable roots. This one is dead all the way. And this one too. I have here a bit of twine that I can cut away. I could actually cut away the seedling portion of this plant as well, or not cut away, but actually remove. We're gonna see. But first I need to make some room and see what I'm doing or what I am dealing with. Sometimes you might have some dead roots right in the center, so you have to remove a little bit of medium, but it doesn't seem to be the case. I do have very good roots here. I'll be honest, you guys, I could just very well let this be. I removed as much as to give me a look inside, and everything looks okay. I actually have a few roots like up top that dehydrated, which is the most common reason why roots die for me. Dehydration. Well, hopefully, since I can better control temperature in this new house, maybe I'm not gonna suffer from things getting dehydrated so badly here, but we'll see. So mainly the top roots are dead. Can you believe it? Yeah, it happens. It's okay if, you know, everybody or most articles or videos that you will see, they will deal with dead roots inside the pot, which happens. Roots can get suffocated sometimes if we're not careful. But if you're experiencing the total opposite of having like dead roots up top, it's fine, it's normal. You might actually have a hot environment or hot home or dry home. Yeah, there we go. So it's totally normal and understandable. All right, let's see what we are going to do with this portion. We don't need all of this orchid, do we? Should we get rid of the old growth now or later? This one came off on its own. Now, this seedling growth, it doesn't really serve any more purpose, and it actually does have some dead roots. Roots don't live forever, and especially on a Cattleya orchid, I find that the recycling rate is quite high. Unlike a dendrobium, what am I doing? Unlike a dendrobium, which in my experience tends to hold on to the older roots longer, Cattleya seem to go through them much faster. So these growths, these are seedling growths, they don't serve any purpose. They're also shriveled. Which doesn't mean the orchid is dehydrated, it just means it's just not investing energy in these growths anymore. And they just take up space in the pot. So at some point when you have like a bushy orchid with a lot of canes, it's okay to remove this old growth. It's just taking up space. I wish I had my pruners. I might go for it and go get them, or I could just do this business. There we go, again, dead roots. Wow, I didn't even see these. So we don't need this, and I would like to remove another one. There we are. Okay, again, dead roots. Look at that. So these old growths, even if you try to propagate them now and like put them in a humidity chamber, the chances of them sprouting something new are very, very low because they're very old. They already had spent eyes because they grew all of these growths. Very low chances of actually propagating orchids with these growths. You could propagate something maybe with this growth, which looks bigger and still looks good, and the roots of it are actually okay. And, well, except this one. I don't know if I should remove this one as well or just leave it. It's always a judgment call here. There's no such thing as right or wrong. Remove as many as you want, as long as you leave at least 3 canes, 3 mature canes. And I do have 3 mature canes. This one doesn't bother me that much though, and it's not gonna take a lot of space in the pot. Probably I'm gonna let it be. It doesn't have dead roots, so I can get rid of it when I next repot. All right, let's see. Oh, this is a root that got damaged. It's not dead, but it got damaged. It might not make it, but it's okay. Right, so I think I'm pretty good. I don't see the point in removing any more of this medium or anything else from the orchid other than, and I should always do this, maybe this should be my New Year's resolution, I need to remove these sheaths because they serve no purpose. They're old and they're gonna degrade anyway. Did you notice? The older dried sheaths, they start to become crumbly and they fall on the top of the medium. They create more debris that will just sit there because we don't have little critters and stuff to break them down. You don't want these. They can harbor pests. They can pile on top of the potting medium. And unless, you know, you have your orchids outside, or at least you can have the occasional isopod, let's say, coming and eating some debris, you know, there's no point in having all sorts of dead material on top of your pots. If you're just growing them in the living room, that's not a good idea. The living room is not a good place for this thing. These are the dried bits that I got rid of, and yeah, I should make it a point to do this more often, but I just, you know, don't. I'll take the opportunity to clean it up, and I'm good. Right, so, made a mess. Every time I repot here, I need to vacuum as well. So I'm gonna get rid of all of this. I'm not keeping anything other than the clip. And I'll be right back with the brand new pot and brand new medium. I actually found some bark. The shops restocked a little bit. It's a different brand. It's the same thing, maybe a little bit finer, but yeah, I'm not finding my usual bark, which is a little weird because I have a few repots coming. But we're gonna do with the bark that I found. Right, so stay. Alrighty, here we are. We have a transparent pot. I'm kind of using whatever pots I have at the moment, either opaque, either like this. It's a whole variety of things because, oh, I'm out of breath. I actually went to wash this downstairs. I have to make a sort of a box with the necessary things I need here in the bathroom as well. This is the first repot I do here because I just didn't have bark. But yeah, now I have to run downstairs to wash stuff. In this environment, I can control temperature better, so I'm hoping I won't have the dehydration issues that I had in the old greenhouse. And what I'm gonna be using is, of course, bark and sphagnum moss. My bark is dry, but I'm not gonna go downstairs again. No, I'm just gonna work with it dry. It's gonna be a little bit of a pain, but it's not impossible. It's just much more comfortable to work with moss damp. But it's not the end of the world if it's dry. You just need to make sure it falls into places. It's actually more fluffy like this. Right, so we're gonna place the little orchid inside. I'm gonna try to make it have... There's a bit of room here. I need to compress a little bit the roots, like so. I wanted to have some more space here. This is the direction of growth, and if I center it, I'm just gonna have an empty space in the back that will never be filled because the back will not grow. The direction is here, so I'm gonna push the back of the orchid, practically the older growth, more towards the edge of the pot. Oh, this root is not alive either. I forgot to cut it. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna press it a little bit gently. There we go. Then I'm gonna continue to add medium around. Now you might be wondering, wouldn't it have been better to like super pre-soak the orchid before I went ahead and did this? You know what? Yes and no. Once you get a lot of experience with something, you tend to kind of bend the rules a little bit because you know how to. And even if a root snaps, you know, it's oh well. It's fine. But typically I can do this safely, even with dry orchids. And quite frankly, I will be very honest. I'm too lazy to go downstairs. I don't, or I can't, or I don't want to water orchids here upstairs because here I have softened water, and we softened the water in the entire house with sodium chloride salt, which is basically salt, table salt. And it's not good for plants quite at all. It's amazing for not like ruining faucets and stuff within a year. Side story, I once like ripped the handle of a faucet off because of the water. And I'm not that strong. So it's quite a miracle not to have all that lime scale deposit and like damage within like a few months. But at the same time, the water I have here cannot be used for plants. So what I use here is the reverse osmosis water that I produce with the system that I have for the past 7-8 years at this point, which many of you probably know because I have videos on it. So I use that. Problem is, it's downstairs and I don't feel like going downstairs. What I do, like to water my orchids, I get buckets, like I store my reverse osmosis downstairs. I also use it for some aquariums. We were thinking to install one upstairs as well, but it's not the time to do the investment and stuff. Like, it can wait. I can go with the buckets up the stairs. So what I do now is I have like there in the closet, I have like a big container where I store the water. I don't have any stored because I watered the orchids like 4 days ago and I didn't come with the water yet. I store it there and I bring it with buckets from downstairs. Yes, I'm doing a workout. I look at it as that. It's a workout. Not the most ideal, but for now it's okay, you know? We have time in the future to address the inconvenience. For now, it's fine. It's fine. There are other problems to take care of. What a mess I'm doing. Anyway, I'm also using a bamboo skewer to make the bark fall in place. Rather than like pressing with my finger and damaging the roots, this is a much better way to direct bark when you're using it in combination with moss. I have an entire video about using bamboo skewers in the orchid room or orchid hobby. You should check it down below because I think it's very fun and very helpful. Right, so at this stage, we're gonna put another layer of sphagnum moss. This is the last layer of sphagnum moss. I don't want things to be very compacted. This is a heavy root producer, so in no time, it's gonna just overflow. And on this last layer of moss, I will also add some slow release fertilizer just to make sure this orchid gets enough food for when I don't have time to actually prepare fertilized water. Because that's a bit of an ordeal as well. We shall address everything in time, no worries. Got other things to worry about now. Alright, so all of this mess that I did, it all goes in the pot. There we are. It's not that bad. Once you get used to it, you know, it's not that bad to work with dry moss. And it's not going to accumulate algae, you know, in your drawers. It's not going to stay damp and weird and break down. Yeah, and everything is actually a lot more airy because I'm actually having quite a bit of very tiny air pockets that I would otherwise not have too much because wet moss is not so like bouncy, right? So you can compact it more. But anyway, so on this layer, I will also add my slow release fertilizer. It's the same one that I bought, I don't know how many years ago from Orchid Deluxe. It's an Osmocote High Potassium one. I think that's how it's called. Pro High K, which is the letter or like symbol, sorry, for the chemical potassium. And we're gonna top it off, of course, with bark. Gonna mulch, we're gonna top dress. By the way, I'm starting to really get like the gardening aspect going. It's January, so the stores are bringing roses. Yes! I have been waiting for this since August last year. I can't. Like, I've been dreaming about a rose garden ever since I was a child, and we had a rose in my grandma's yard. And I cannot grow in this climate that rose. It only grows in the mountains here. It's one of those that you use for food and sweets and stuff. Very nostalgic for me. I cannot grow it, but I want to grow other roses that smell like it. So 'tis the time. They have started to bring roses and I have started to become giddy. So I'm planning on one of the beds, on a few, one of the beds this year. I'm planning like to freshen up the soil, enrich the soil with some compost, and also make a mulch layer of pine bark. You have to understand something. In my area, in my country, mulching is not a thing. Okay, some people do, especially British people who move here to the island. There are many of those. They will mulch because it's a thing. Here it's not a thing. What we do, or what I see people do here a lot, is put those pebbles, which, you know what, they're not bad. Last summer I didn't have hydration issues at all because of that pebble layer. The problem is it's hard to work with. It's white, so it doesn't really overheat. I don't have a problem with that. It's not overheating. Problem is it's so white, it burns my eyeballs. It so burns my eyeballs. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I have that white wall as well. Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna try some pine bark mulch. It's the only mulch that I can find. Only thing that, you know, is available here. It's like decorative mulch, whatever. So I'm gonna buy, and I'm gonna try in a little bed where I'm gonna put some roses as well, and probably in the vegetable bed I'm gonna mulch with pine bark. It's not like this, it's a little different. It's bigger as well. And I'm not gonna do the whole yard because there are some concerns with that. First of all, carpenter ants. I have carpenter ants. I don't mind them. They don't come in the house. They don't bite me. They're pretty cool. They're humongous and scary, but they're pretty cool. I don't mind them. They don't mind me. We're good. But if I'm gonna have the mothership of carpenter ants in my garden eating away at my mulch, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's one thing. Second thing, we have wild winds here in the spring and summer. Wild. Like, we moved here and we're like, what have we done? How do we like stop this wind from taking us away from the yard, like physically us? It's so windy. Oh my gosh. I don't know if that mulch will last or it will go away to the neighbors with the first wind of spring. I don't know. We're gonna see about that. Rocks don't fly. So there are some concerns with the mulching. I get it. It's like the thing everybody uses. I get it. Not in Cyprus. Cyprus, no. There must be a reason for it. I don't know. I will try it for the sake of it. I don't know though. I don't know how. Plus, it's also dark colored, and in that sun, it might get hotter than the pebbles. I don't know. We're gonna see. I'll give it a good go. I'm gonna save the rocks. If it doesn't work out, you guys, I'm sorry. The pebbles are staying, and the white pebbles that burn my eyes will also stay, because if I put dark pebbles, we're cooked, literally cooked. Right, so I did a little bit of a spin-off. I don't know why, but probably there will be some rose videos coming soon, like in the next month and a half or so, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. I will give you, I think on Friday, a few updates in the room and also a few updates outside, because the lilies are in bloom, and also I pruned the roses. The roses did beautiful, even with the rocks and stuff. But I'm gonna show you what I did a little bit in the garden Friday, and also in the orchid room. So yeah, just did a little bit of a side note, because I know some of you were wondering, or some of you, when I did my garden tour, some of you were saying, oh, put mulch there. It's not a thing here. It's just not. I don't know. It's also expensive. It's so expensive. If you like put a lot of it, yeah, it's expensive. So we're gonna see how that goes. What I will do now is water this orchid very, very well, and I'm just gonna put it back like in a decorative pot, but I'm gonna put it back in its place. Many times some people ask me if I water orchids after I repot. I always do. I always water the orchids after I repot. It settles the medium, it hydrates the roots, it's perfect. And I've never had issues with like root rot and stuff. Like, if ever there's root rot, there's something else going on. And I do have quite a few hundred of orchids. So yeah, I'm gonna go water it downstairs, not with this water. And that is about it for today. There are a few more Cattleya seedlings that I need to repot. I'm not gonna take you along for all of them because there's no point. But I do also have some Tolunias at this point. So maybe we will do some repots in the future as well, since I have some bark now. Small bags, so not a lot of repots. I'm still waiting for the big bags. But yeah, let me know in a comment if you're up for more repots. Maybe a repot and chill and stuff. This was a repot and chill, I guess, as well. But there we have it. Soon, maybe we'll do a little update on the Cattleya seedlings as well. Nothing much. I don't see any buds yet. I didn't really look, but at a glance, I didn't see anything. But yeah, this is one of the seedlings, which definitely is not a seedling anymore. And maybe this year at the end, maybe next year, we will have a bloom as well. We do have a blind sheath, which, you know, good news. But yeah, no blooms yet. I'm really hoping I'm getting blooms soon because I'm really curious about those flowers. Right, so that's it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today and hearing me blab. And I will see you all on Friday for more updates, maintenance, and some garden updates. And that's it. I'll see you all next time. Bye!